everyone. With it being the little over a year since Town of Salem 2 came out, I thought it would be fair, and all the extra things that they seem to be adding. Let's talk about things I want to see added to the game. I got 10 on this list. I have 8 personally. We'll get into the other 2 here coming up soon. But is my wish list for the 10 things I would want to see in Town of Salem. With one quick honorable mention, and that's going to extra maps and skyboxes. I discussed that in a previous video. Go check that out. That will be somewhere in the description. Go check out the video on monetization for me to talk about maps and skyboxes and what I want with that. It didn't feel fair to overlap it. With that being said, number 1 is leaderboards and statistics. This is something I've said in a couple videos now that I think is really crazy that they have not implemented, because I know they're tracking it because they have to track it for achievements. With Town of Salem 1, it kept track of all of your games played in one, and then it kept track of, your wins with each specific one, and it had leaderboards for all of them. And so adding that to the game, yeah, it might take a little bit. It might take like 5 or 6 days and make sure the code's all good. But I feel like that, in my opinion, is the number 1 thing that they can add and be like, yeah, there's no negatives with this. I would separate each game mode specific. So, like if I'm backing up, here, let me, boop. So if I would want a separate leaderboard for Town Trader wins. I would want a separate one for Wandering Souls, for Ranked Practice, for Ranked, for All Any, for Classic. That way also the private lobbies don't screw it, because there's people achievement hunting and achievement farming. I would not want those to count for achievements or town points or experience for stuff, but that's a whole nother can of worms I'm not about ready to go into. But it also gives incentive. Putting each leaderboard on a specific mode gives incentive for people to play that mode. So, that is my first thing on my wish list. It's about the only thing that I'm like 100% yes, this is my most important thing. But after that, it's pretty even. Next thing on the list is ghost points need to do something. There are a lot of people that have came up with different things that ghost points can do rather than just sit there and accumulate. I have quite a bit of ghost points, and it seems rather useless right now. And so making those more useful is another thing on my wish list that I feel like they threw in there to get it started, and they're like, oh, we're going to come back to that, and they've not came back to that. And it's about time they'd be like, okay, let's wrap this up. So that we, complete this feature rather than just, oh, it's an open-ended feature. Next is creators actually need to do stuff. So a spectator mode, so like if you had 15 creators in a match and a couple people spectating, commentating, I could see that being a beneficial thing. There also needs to be more creator-led events. So this is Yodakai. They do quite a bit of stuff on their server in terms of like events. That needs to be more official, whether it's like the custom role lists that they're doing, or maybe it's 15 creators and they all do bingo, or something to stir up creator collaboration, because I think that is the next step in trying to get more content out, is more people doing things together. And speaking about more people doing things together, here is Dragon Unharm, another Town of Salem 2 YouTuber, and he's going to give you his 2 wish list items for the for this list here. So Dragon, take it away.
So the first thing that's on my wish list is hiding custom lists for game modes. I'll explain real quick. Let's say you have a bunch of lists that you and your friends like, and they're all preset, let's say for 9 or 10 players, but the problem is everybody knows what roles are on, so it's very hard for evils to fake claim. So I think that if you're able to hide, more a custom list, I think that would be really good for the game for both private lobbies and also for public lobbies where you have the rotating mode. So if nobody knows what's the rotating mode, it's as if you're playing preset all any, which is I think has its own fun to it. I don't know. And the second thing that I would add is improving the chat filter. Now this is not just for I'm talking as a person who makes videos, but also as a player. It ruins the experience when you hop into a lobby and you're all ready to play and everything, and then bam, somebody managed to find a way past the filter, which happens all the time, and they're being very unkind to people. And I think this is one place where AI can actually shine, and I would very much be pro for AI, where you have an AI chat filter that basically knows how to look for the people who are trying to evade ban, if you know what I mean. And that's what I would add.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Dragon. And I'm going to continue for my rest. Tome of Fate is something that is kind of controversial in the community. I, as a creator and as someone who likes progression, really like the idea of the Tome of Fate. And the first thing I thought of when they included it is like, why can't you prestige it? And it's something that we've actually had talks in the creator chat of, this is something they've thought about prestiging it, they just don't know what. For each different book, maybe it's a different prestige level. You could add it to where you could show off all your books in your house. Maybe the different books do different things. Maybe each book is a different scroll setup. So you choose this book and it's your scroll setup for Town Protect. Maybe it's this one for when you're recording. Maybe it's this one because you really love Dreamweaver and you want to get Dreamweaver as much as possible. Just some different ideas to throw out there. Number 7 is Cinematic for Apocalypse Transformation. This I just see a time commitment on. So when, Baker transforms into Famine, it's just a little text bubble that says, boop, the baker has transformed into Famine. When that rarely happens. I think it'd be really cool the day that happens, or the night for like Plague Bearer, if, Cinematic pops up. Let's say it's just Plague Bearer transforming into Pestilence. It shows the Plague Bearer. It doesn't show the character. It shows the silhouette. And then poof. And, the apocalypse is nigh. And yada yada. And you can do it with all of them. So let's say all 4 transform at the same time. You just split the screen. So the first fourth is Plague Bearer. The second fourth is Berserker. Or however many of the 4 transform, they're side by side. Because the first thing I would see in the comments is, oh, if all 4 played back to back, that's really long. Well, just put them side by side. And it's just a general, the apocalypse is nigh. And then the text, everyone will see, oh, an apoc transformed. And they'll look in the chat and see which one actually transformed. If they don't recognize the silhouette or the character. Next is a brand new anonymous mode. Personally, I don't use anonymous mode. I never have, and I never will, in my opinion. I set my brand on here's London, and here we go, for better or worse. But there's a lot of people that need anonymous mode to play the game. So my wish list for anonymous mode is when you're in public lobbies, you will pop up a silhouette and you'll have a default name. Straight up. That's, you have anonymous mode on. Everyone will know you have anonymous mode on. And it goes from there. You cannot be asked, you cannot be given friend requests with that on. Nothing. You can send it out. Those silhouettes can be customizable, yada yada, blah blah. Maybe another thing if they want to add more money stuff. In custom games, which is where the anonymous mode was giving some problems back with Tuba and Curtis, You can force everyone into anonymous mode if you want, or you can force everyone out of it. If you force everyone out of it, it will pop up a little block that says the host of this lobby is turning off anonymous mode. And it's either okay or leave lobby. There you go. Now, in regular lobbies, well, yeah, you don't really know who... With that, and this is something I've talked with Dragons and Dial on, let's say there is someone who is harassing people in anonymous mode in a public lobby. There needs to be a way to handle those people. Because bless Shape's heart, it takes them about 2 or 3 days to get through all the reports at this point. Because there's 8,000 reports a week? It's a lot. And so a way to handle that, again, there was a discussion on, just block them or ignore them in game. But ignoring them's game throwing. They probably have information. And ignore them's game throwing. And so I like Tuba's The List, where you can... It'll pop up when it works. It'll pop up red, the name if it's someone you have blocked, just so that you know. I do see that being a potential problem of I can block Curtis. And then that's the only person I have blocked. So when I see that red name, and it's an anonymous player, oh, that's Curtis. I can't fix everything, but I think this is a better step for a better anonymous mode. Because I will say there's a lot of times where it's easy to figure out based on the character too. Number 9, the game needs to be easier to mod/workshop. I'm not talking breaking, but for all these people like Toast and Mystic and Hyper that have these reworks, how cool would it be to go into a private lobby and tweak how Trickster works and can test that out or whatnot. I know that there's some issues with how those mods are allowed. But even just basic ones. We were told that we would have, this is how you develop mods, and that hasn't happened. And there's a lot of mods that go to the wayside because Tuba and Curtis aren't pushing out the necessary things for the mod developers. And then number 10, this is really easy, and it's something that they've talked about. You need a trophy case for all the trophies. So, have a trophy case interior that shows your rank for each season. So here's 1, here's 2. And have it just be all together. You could add that with the bookshelf, So, that is all for my wish list for Town of Salem 2 as of, a year after the games came out. Who knows what they'll add? Who knows how many more microtransactions we'll get? Who knows if the game's even going to be around at this time next year? But I wanted to put down this is what I want. That is all for me. I hope you enjoy, and we will catch you next time.